you got to have a snowblower.
What? Really? Wow.
Huh? What? All-wheel drive?
No. Snow. When you said snowblowers go with all-wheel drive cars, you mean like you go in, you buy a car, and they're like, here, we're throwing a snowblower with it or something?
No. I'm just saying, if you live in Michigan, there's two constants. You got to have an all-wheel drive car.
Oh, got you. I got you.
You have to have a snowblower.
Yeah.
Those are the two constants.
That makes sense.
Kind of sucks though, because you kind of limit yourself in the cars you can buy. But I like staying alive more than driving fast. So
yeah,
no doubt.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, that's true in like Atlanta or something.
Yeah,
or in South Florida.
No, you get that traffic, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
talking about that 4 o'clock rain every day in Florida.
Nah.
Put it 2 o'clock.
Set your watch. Yeah, set your watch to it.
I know. When I went,
it's 1 o'clock. Here comes the thunderstorm. Yeah, 12:30 is bright and sunny. 1 o'clock looks like there's nothing outside.
Yeah, bro. You see, when you're in Florida, you start seeing people walking around with umbrellas and shit. You know it's about that time.
Yep,
it's about to go down.
You'll get like a thunderstorm that rolls through. Everything is black, gray, ominous, and then by 1:45, it's like the sun is out, like nothing ever happened.
And it's like it never rained. Everything's dried up.
Yep.
Because of humidity.
It's like that in paradise, When I've been to Hawaii a couple times, and it's like that in Hawaii. It'd be like around 1 p.m. It's like a monsoon just
right.
Everyone just knows it. And I was there the first time there, and I was just like, the hell? It was the clouds rolled in so fast. It's like it was completely clear sky, then boom, monsoon for like 10 minutes, then gone. And I got family out there. They're just like, yeah, it's like that every day. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, y'all not worried? Y'all not freaking? It's like, nah, it's all good.
Of course they're not worried. Like in Hawaii,
right.
temperature stays 78 to 83 degrees all year long. I'm like, man, you have no idea how good you got here.
That's the good life.
What you get? I heard you guys talking about the different like snow blowers to buy. Like here, what you start talking about is like what kind of shutters you're gonna get.
For the hurricanes,
hurricanes and stuff.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's only a few months out of the year, but man, if you get a busy season where every other week there's a major storm, you're like, do I leave them up and I live in a bunker? Do I take them back down? But when you have like accordion, or if you really got it like that, then you get like the electric ones, or now you get the hurricane resistant glass. Like windows and stuff like that. So you don't do any of that.
Hurricane resistant glass.
Yeah. You can get hurricane windows.
Look at BioWare looking out for the player right now. I think that's something.
So you can sit in the house now, slow mo, and like look at the storm. But putting those shutters up and down, oh man.
All right, go to bed, buddy. Come on.
That's work, man.
So this patch came out today and not in 2 days.
Hey, I just want to say something. It's funny, like all this stuff with global warming. I feel like Mother Nature's going to have that moment.
Oh, she already done, man. You got polar bears chasing people in apartment complexes in Russia.
What?
What? You guys didn't hear about that on the news?
No, man.
No, man.
Yeah, man. The polar bears are like
be laughing because whoever had to deal with that was probably terrified and left a trail behind them. But that's funny as hell.
Like straight up, man. They're coming in looking for food.
Yeah,
like all the ice caps are melting and everything. So they're like in apartment complexes, dude. Like literally, like
they get across the fucking ocean.
Hey,
we put them all on boats or some shit.
Mother Nature is the most powerful force.
Mother Nature said, "Everybody stand on this side of the ice cap, and we're going to break it in half and float to America."
Right. Hey, Forte, they're like, I don't know what that is, but it smells good.
Yeah.
Look at the people. I don't know what they are, but they smell good.
Jesus. All right, everyone. We are live. Welcome to another episode of Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. This is podcast number 144. Man, we're getting up there in numbers now. Getting close to 200. It's crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I was in my 30s when I started this podcast. Yes, how time flies. But we have a great show for everyone. Lots of news to talk about this evening. By the way, I did finally put up my review for Crackdown 3. And if you want to check it out, it's up on the BRAP YouTube channel. And just give me my thoughts and my opinions on Crackdown 3.
You did no rules review?
Yes, yeah, pretty much. And I give you a little I answer the question, is it mediocre? That's what everyone wants to know. Is it mediocre? Is it okay to like mediocre games? I don't know. You tell me, Eric.
Hey, I said in my quick little like Twitter review, I said it's not mediocre. It's just as a sequel, it's uninspired. You know?
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that.
It's a very good way of explaining it. I agree.
Yeah, it's funny. Most people are like, "Oh, it's like it's Crackdown. It's the original Crackdown." Well, it's not just the original Crackdown. It was Crackdown 2. I mean, Crackdown 2 didn't do anything really different from Crackdown 1, other than add 4-player co-op, from what I remember. But
I recall of the reviews of Crackdown 2, that was the biggest consensus about the reviews, and that's a last gen game as well.
Yeah, you're right.
It didn't do much different from the first game, and then people were disappointed. They wanted to see a growth. They wanted to see something to take what was a good formula back then for Crackdown 1, a good foundation, and to build upon it. But they didn't really do that, and this one doesn't really do that either. So
yeah, no, it's a fair assessment. But so we definitely have a lot to talk about tonight. I want to introduce the panel real quick. We have B Money. B, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
Yo, B, what up?
You just kind of stuck in here, man.
Yeah, man. I was running a little late, man. I don't want to interrupt the conversation, so let you guys do your thing. But I'm here, man.
No worries.
What's up, bro?
No worries, man. We have Gaming Forte. What's up, Forte?
Man, what's up, man? I had to be here for this show. I am under the weather. Anthem is giving me the flu. So
It made you sick.
It's made me sick, literally. So, but I'm always here for you guys. So let's do it.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Glad you can make it, even though you're under the weather, man. Looking forward to your thoughts on Anthem, because I think Slomo, I think earlier you brought up a great point in the DM that we'll talk about as relates to Anthem. So welcome. We're gonna welcome back his return. I can't even talk tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so tired I'm tired from shoveling, man. I've been shoveling all day, hurt my back. Not a good day for me. But making his return, Mr. Eric Jackson. What's up, E?
What's up, guys? I'm happy to be back. Yeah, it's been interesting the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm glad to be back, talk some games with you guys finally.
Let me tell you, and Eric's okay with enjoying games at Metacritic 40, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Devil's Third, man.
Not even trash. He likes dumpster juice level games.
Yo, man.
He does. Like, he was describing the game. He's like, yeah, man, it's like, you're this bald-headed Russian with Japanese tattoos, and you smoke cigars and behead people or something.
That game is complete insane nonsense, but it just has like a thing about it that's just, it's cool. It's like, it's so bad. It's just like a guilty pleasure movie. It comes on, you're like, I don't know why I'm watching this, but but I'm with it. I'm here for the bullshit.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man.
Like Enrique, you made the comparison to like McDonald's. Like, this joint is like cold White Castle.
Oh wow! This is like so this is like 7-Eleven, like the when they try to what is it, the taquitos they have, whatever they call them.
Man.
They try to sell you like 3 for $5 or whatever it is.
Yeah, like when you leave the club and you like bliss, you're like, those look good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been there many times at 7-Eleven after midnight, and those taquitos look pretty good.
Yeah, you got a Slurpee.
Got
some taquitos. Next day you wake up, you got like taquito wrappers in the car. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, and you feel like when you leave that 7-Eleven, you're proud. You're like, yeah, man, I got some taquitos. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's like 3 in the car with one bite out of each one of them.
Oh my goodness,
that club life.
Yeah, that's just so true, man. Oh my goodness. That really does bring back memories, man. Without further ado, we got Slow-Mo back. What's up, Slow-Mo?
What's up, man? You just here for these topics, like Forte, man. This one is something that I got a lot of stuff I want to get off my chest.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit back. And just listen.
I'm gonna grab some popcorn, man. Just like take a seat and just listen.
Man, it's not going. I'm not gonna get too animated. It's just a lot of little things I've been kind of like silently raging about, and I think
you can't be holding back, man.
I'm not gonna hold back. I think my rage has just kind of subsided at some point. It's like I've been quietly angry about some things for a little while, and now it's just like, but I still need to get it off my chest, like it's just kind of like, all right, I think I'm not as angry anymore, but I still need to say some things.
Slow-Mo's gonna Hulk out tonight. Let me tell you something, brother.
That's what I was gonna say.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. All right,
that sounds just like Hulk Hogan too.
Oh man, I'll tell you, man. I mean, come on. We all grew up. I mean, if most of us probably grew up watching Hulk Hogan, I think, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you
what was that shit back in the day, man.
Yeah, man.
Coco Beware coming in with that parrot on his shoulder and shit.
Yeah. And he never even talked. I felt like he was like, "Oh yeah, oh Ian Frankie." That's all he would say.
Like doing that flap, that woo.
Yeah, woo. Ian Frankie.
That's the only thing I remember from Coco Beware. That bird and doing the flap.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his finishing move was. I can't remember what kind of wrestler he was. It was just those two things.
Oh, I remember his finishing move was the Ghostbuster.
The Ghostbuster.
Yeah,
that dude was all over the place as a wrestler, man.
Oh, he was, man. He was. But I remember they would interview him, man, and he would just be like, "Oh yeah, me and Gene, me and Frankie," and he started doing a little flapping dance.
Was that the bird's name, Frankie?
Frankie, yeah, it was the name.
Damn, you got a good memory.
Wasn't that Macho Man thing? The ooh yeah. I
thought he did too. Yeah, Macho Man. Ooh yeah.
Yeah. Macho Man kind of said like he's about to man. He's about to go to the bathroom. He's like, ooh, yeah. Like that was his ooh yeah.
Be that with Elizabeth.
Probably came up with that when he's on the shitter.
Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
He would do the whole promo with like his neck muscle was just strained. Like,
man.
What's happening here? Like, is he really? It's like one time he did the promo and he had to really go. And it was like, that was your best promo, Randy. Do that every single time.
Yeah.
So now he's just like, I gotta act like I'm constipated and I'm about to really let one go every time I do a promo. It was great though, man. That was back in. I mean, what wrestling in the '80s wasn't as good as the Attitude Era, but it was like, it was almost there.
Oh, I'm gonna say the Attitude Era was the best.
Absolutely,
that was the king. That was the king, man.
Yeah,
Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H.
Some of the best stuff, man.
Even
WCW was doing their thing.
Yeah. When they introduced NWO.
Yeah.
Right. I used to even watch ECW. I mean, it used to be my jam back in the days.
Oh yeah, with Taz.
Yeah, Taz.
RVD, man.
Yeah, RVD and Shane Douglas, the franchise. Yeah.
I knew it was on.
My shit.
I knew it was on when I caught the first episode of SmackDown and they cussed on it. I was like, what? Cussing on live network TV? Let's go.
Yeah, Fortress, let's go.
Let's go.
Don't call me Danny said snap into some X-Lax.
Oh my God.
Yes. Remember he said Spider-Man, Bullsaw is ready.
Oh my God. Wait. Don't call me Danny. Says Hulk.
Lead time.
I got you for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Hey, real quick. Don't call me Danny. Live chat says Hulk out with your bulk out. Oh my God.
Hey, that's when they used to definitely play up like the Saturday Night Main Event stuff. Like everything only happened at WWE. It was before like like faces and heels like actually did it on regular TV.
Mm-hmm.
You come back from break and some dude in the ring with a black union named Stanley. Actually, the big guys never really did too much of the main event, like regular TV stuff. Like the guy held out for like the pay-per-views and everything.
I remember. Hey, I remember actually seeing Hulk Hogan live in like 19. Oh man. Hey, Slomo, you're from the DMV originally, right?
Yeah.
Born and raised. You remember the Capitol Center, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember.
So I went to the Cap Center, man, to watch Hulk Hogan. My dad took me, Hulk Hogan, fight Big John Studd. So this is probably like 87?
Big John Studd, yeah, man.
Yeah, 87. I remember these guys were behind us.
Capitol Center is pretty much like maybe a mile away from where the Redskins now play.
Yeah. Yep.
They tore that down back when the Wizards and Capitals moved to what was then called the MCI Center.
Yeah,
which is now called, I forgot what they call it now. They've changed the name.
Capital One Bank Arena.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in Chinatown, DC.
Yeah.
Damn words.
I know, right?
Yeah, right. It is to me words.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Verizon Center.
It was Verizon Center. That was easy
for a long time. And this is a little slow-mo trivia. I used to intern for the Wizards back in 2000, 2001, back when it was the MCI Center. I was an intern there.
No wonder you don't like Ernie Grunfield.
Oh, look, man, I have. We can talk off air. I got some stories because this is around the time that Jordan was involved with the team. So I got a lot of stories.
I got some stories about Jordan too, hanging out at clubs and
stealing people's wives and stuff.
Yes, pretty much. Yep. Hanging out at Howard University and yeah,
he was a goat, man.
Yeah, Jordan was a wild dude, man. What'd you say, Silva?
He was the GOAT in more than one way.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he was.
He was hulking out with his bulk out. He was. He ran through DC. That's all I got to say about that. All right. Hey, let me ask you all something. Talk about something real quick. What is going on with Mike Ibarra?
He in his bag, man. That dude is always trying to stir up some shit.
I mean, this dude is straight. Like, okay, so review came out, PC Gamer, on Anthem. And it's basically Anthem's worst section has already been improved. And that was the article, so I'm not going to get into the whole details of the article, but Ibarra basically tweeted out, this was actually very easy to do. Amazed at the whining. One reviewer, not the below, reviewed the game, yet in the review cited that he didn't even know how to do a combo. Embarrassing to review with such a lack of knowledge.
That's because the damn game doesn't do any fucking thing to tell you how to do a combo.
Facts right there. It does not teach you how to do a combo.
I got over 30 hours in that game, and I still don't know where in that game it shows you where to do a combo at.
It doesn't. It doesn't tell you
at
that.
all.
You have to figure that out on your own, and people have, and it's. Although I mean, I figured it out in the closed alpha how to do it. But it's. I mean, I guess it makes sense if someone can go a while without being able to figure it out. But I don't know if you did a review of the game.
Did they
still don't know?
Did they have a point in the alpha where they showed that slow-mo? Or
no.
They didn't even show it there either.
No, they didn't. I just figured it. Look, I figured it out based off of
button matching.
No. Just thinking about the elements. Like you freeze an enemy. If you hit them with lightning, it's priming and then detonating. It's priming and detonating. I kind of already thought up some things. Me and a friend of mine were talking about how, what if we had a build, and I'm definitely going to do this once with some people have a loadout where it's just a primer loadout, and I'm gonna call it that, or just a detonating loadout, and so that I could have I could be out there just priming enemies, and my friend can just detonate them, and that would make it make our encounters even on higher difficulties so much more easier. A easier transition and getting through our objectives than how you are. How you can't do that if I've been playing mostly solo by myself and I'm playing with a bunch of randoms. You can't do that because you don't know what anyone else is going to be.
You don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Yeah, look. All right. Let me not get into my bag yet. Go ahead, Enrique. Go ahead. Man.
Okay.
So that's why he's in his feelings, because he felt somebody didn't know how to play the game, even though the game's not really explaining it to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll put I'll say this in his defense, kind of. If you watch this game, anybody that's watched any gameplay of this game, it's not like they didn't promote the combo system in it. And even us not knowing how to do the combo system, I'd be damned if I was going to play the game and not figure out how the damn combo system worked before I put a damn review out. I mean, so I do agree with that part of it, but they still should have taught you how to put the combo system in the game, because most people are, I'm not going to say the word that I was going to say, but most people are incompetent in their when it comes to their gaming knowledge. We see people not be able to get past the easiest parts of Cuphead because of that's what's going on with the way that they know how to play games. So.
But you know what's happening though? That's a great point, Forte, by the way, bringing up the Cuphead thing, because that was Dean. What's his last name?
Oh, I wasn't gonna call him out now, but
Takahashi. Yeah, and actually, a lot of people don't know, and Xbox. A lot of the Xbox fans were very critical of him in the demo of Cuphead. Like, oh, he's not a gamer. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He actually. People don't know this. A lot of these guys don't know this, but he actually wrote a book about the development of the original Xbox. And I came across Dean's name back in 2002, and like that to me, like that's the first time I heard him, because I think that was his claim to fame at the time. Writing
was this book called "Opening the Xbox"?
I think it was. I think that's right. Yeah.
I read that back in the day.
Yeah, so that was like Dean. That was Dean's thing, man. And the guy games. Look, I mean, shit, man. I've been gaming for 35 years, man. I ain't gonna lie. Look, I've been gaming for 37 years. I popped in Bloodborne. Eric and B Money like, so Enrique, man, what do you think of Bloodborne? I'm like, man, this shit's trash. They're like, what do you mean? It's trash, man. I can't beat this werewolf. They're like, what do you mean the werewolf in the beginning? They're like, why are you fighting him? I'm like, man, I keep hitting him with my fist. He keeps killing me. These dudes laughed their asses off at me. And they were like, yo, you're not supposed to fight him. So look, we all have maybe we all don't. But look, I've been gaming a long time, and I had a moment,
Yeah, Enrique's like, if the rest of this game is gonna be like this, I'm out.
Yeah, that's a clear case of a game not telling you what to do.
Yeah,
and you're just trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, the game doesn't tell you. You wake up, you encounter this werewolf, and my first look, my natural reaction is, okay, I need to fight this werewolf. He is trying to attack. He is trying to kill me. If Eric and B hadn't said anything to me, I probably would have been like, you know what, I'm done with Bloodborne. But once I got past I just ran past him, and then I was like, okay, now I can really experience the game. And I kept running with it. I came back and eventually beat the werewolf. But like, this shit happens. But I feel like, to your point, Forte, like there's this like narrative out there that like game reviewers are dumbasses now. Like they don't know how to play games. You shouldn't trust them. They lie. They're biased. I just feel like there's all this nonsense. And like,
hey, you know why I call BS on that Cuphead? How people were going to that dude?
Yeah.
Because if you look at the number of completed on Xbox who completed Cuphead, some of them couldn't do that either.
Oh no, I don't know, man. They couldn't get past the screen.
Well, okay. I'm not gonna call BS on that, because that was kind of like, what?
That's what I'm saying. They couldn't even get past the
tutorial.
Tutorial mission.
Right. Okay, no, I'm okay. I won't call BS on that part, but I'm just saying, dudes like to call people out, say they don't play games and finish games and stuff, but it's like, I think you still pop a rare achievement if you beat Cuphead on Xbox.
You do.
Probably will. Yeah.
I know when I beat it popped a rare achievement.
So
I haven't played it. I admit.
I've been thinking about this for a while, and I don't know. You guys give me your input on it. I think when it comes to reviewers or just media in general, do you guys think that video game journalism is probably the easiest form of journalism that there is to actually cover?
No.
Which one do you think is the easiest?
Pornography.
I would say sports is up there.
That's one of the easiest to cover.
Yeah, I would say I would
could
agree
put sports up there too.
Sport. Yeah.
So many of those analysts for a particular sport always come out with their predictions for certain things. They are wrong 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
no
but you know what
the
difference? But the difference between a lot of sports analysts is they get people that played the game before. Like when I look at ESPN now, most of the people that talk about sports is people that played the game.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but that's kind of a recent change. It used to not be like that. It used to be like you would see your Ed Werders out there and your a whole like ESPN full of guys that you just look at and be like, this guy never played a snap in his life.
What about Sal Palantonio, man? You
It'd be so many guys. You're like, there's no way this guy played football before, but he's got all these sources, and he's in the know. He knows that he's dropping, exclusives before it really, hits and before press conferences, and those guys were. I kind of miss that. I kind of miss that kind of analytical, conversation in sports. Now it's just a bunch of guys just like. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Oh no. Slow-mo, the best is every time when they have to do a reenactment, just show me on the video. But you guys got to stand up here and say, all right. So JJ's gonna get over here in a button hook play like pattern. He's gonna stand. I'm like, come on, dog. He's like, you guys just want to run through this again, like you're on the field. Yeah. Just show me the video. That's all I need to see.
Yeah.
Or Chris Broussard and his sources say, who these sources, Chris? You just get up there and throw out whatever, like, source told me. Yeah, exactly.
I would say sports is easier than
I would kind of say that, yeah.
I don't think game journalism is easy, man. I mean,
I don't think any of it's easy. I just think, like, when you sit back and you think about it, for me, and I don't know because I don't write or anything like that, so I don't know if that is the case. It just feels like when a person, if you were thinking about journalism and getting into it, it seems like video games would be especially if you like video games, it would be an easy thing to segue into and to get your, to hone your craft to get to where you actually want to be. And the people that get real successful with it are the people, like Paul Tassi and stuff that start writing books, and Jason Schreier and all these other people that start writing books. And even like when you go to like Game Informer and people that work there and stuff, once you get to that type of level and stuff, and then you got even people like Ryan McCaffrey, it just comes down to they enjoy that media so much that they actually just love talking about it. But what actually determined you to want to actually just do games media in general?
Yeah.
A lot of those guys go ahead, E.
Nothing, but the thing people have to think about too is there's a big difference between like an enthusiast and a blogger versus like a journalist.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Schreier is a journalist. That dude goes and gets the story.
Yes.
Moriarty is a journalist. He goes and gets a story and puts it together and like.
Oh, he was hurt. He was hurt this week.
You put it together. But being a writer and a blogger, I mean. Some of these people, they went to journalism school and they kind of know how to go about it. Like even Ryan, has written pieces that dig into journalism. Right. A lot of people are just, especially like nowadays, you find people who have some form of influence or followers because somebody may like the way they write or their style, or they'll give their impression on something, or they write a review on something. And it's like, oh, I can hire that person to do that. Doesn't mean they're a journalist. It just means that they're a person that gives an impression.
Well, that's just like with Jason Schreier, when he does an article where he talks about all the things that's happening in these companies and talking about, I was in the room when these people found out that they were getting fired and, they were crying in a parking lot. That's when you know that the person's a journalist, because he's actually there on the floor, compared to people that's giving opinions about something. They're basically just talking about everything that they heard secondhand from other people and other sources.
Yeah. And that's still the distinction between print or like not print like actual paper print, but print media versus YouTube. Yeah. And in some ways that Jason Schreier has his issues with YouTube because a guy like
provocateurs,
his favorite provocateur, Yang will get will do a video based off of Jason's work and get like 5 times as many eyes watching that video than people reading his work. And but it's the way of the times. This is the way it's going to be. It's the new wave. It's going to eventually become maybe not Yang, maybe not Review Tech USA or whoever else, but someone's going to come along and be a real journalist in the YouTube arena. They're going to have sources. They're going to do all the work that the print journalists do. But it's all going to be in video. And this going to eventually happen. It's just it is what it is. But to get back to what what's going on with Ybarra, look, there are people who do bad reviews, and there are people who do good reviews, and it's a bell curve for like literally every single community. You got your fringe guys, you got your people who are just decent at doing their job, and you got your guys who are terrible, and you got your guys who are excellent. And when it comes to reviews, you're going to find some really terrible reviews, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on some piece of crap website you never heard of, but somehow ended up on Metacritic, dropping the score of a game that, that doesn't need to be there. I will never forget reading the worst review I've ever read in my life for Detroit Become Human, where the guy had misspellings all over the place. Clearly, it was not edited well or edited at all. And come to find out, like just by reading it, I can tell this guy had no idea that the game had multiple endings. No idea that the characters die. It can die at different times, because he said the girl who he's doing a review of the game, couldn't even remember her name, died in the beginning, and he thought her story was cut short too soon. It's like, dude, that was your choice. Like, your choices led to her dying. Then you can keep playing the game again. It has more replay value. Like the fact that someone can write a review, not put in a score, and then Metacritic gives it a 40 automatically, which I have an issue with. And he not know some basic things about how the gameplay loop is, how the game operates. How the hell did this make it into Metacritic? It's weird. You see things like that. I'll never forget that, because it's to me, it's like the shining example of how you should never do a review. But that's still not. I can't take that, and what a lot of people do when they get into their bag, when they get a little upset about reviews when it comes to their particular brand or their particular company having a game come out and that game doesn't get reviewed well, they take examples like that and act like that's the norm. It's not.
Yeah.
It is the exception. It's not the norm. The norm is that people review a game, they play enough of it to get a good idea about it, they write a review on it. Every now and then you get a guy who writes a review about a game, like the whoever it was that did the review, I can't remember, but whoever it was that did the review on Resident Evil 2 remake, and didn't realize that you could also play as Claire.
That was Damon Hatfield from
then you gotta go back and fix some things, like, or when IGN comes out there and says that Apex Legends is just your typical battle royale game, and it's just like, did you play Apex?
And then the opinion gets changed in less than 10 hours.
Yeah, and then they delete that, and then let's change it. Like, look, stuff happens, you know what I'm saying? But it's not everyone. We can pick examples all over the place, but there are always like the exceptions. And if it was the norm, we could, all of us right now, just go out and just pick a game and find a terrible review of it within 5 minutes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is something that I said when Enrique was doing his rant the other day. That tweet basically sums up everything I was saying about it. I guarantee you the person that put out that tweet that was saying that Apex Legends doesn't do anything special, it's just your run-of-the-mill game. I guarantee you the person that put that in, that tweeted that out from IGN, absolutely meant that. He really probably meant that. But I guarantee you what happened was a person like looked at that tweet. It was like, man, you can't be saying that. So they actually went in and somebody else formed an opinion about what was going on, and that person's opinion didn't like hold weight with the whole company anymore. So they probably changed it just because of that. Because like I told on that, I told like during Brat's rant, you know, opinions are that is an opinion thing. If he didn't like Apex Legends and he felt like it was a run-of-the-mill type game,
yeah,
do anything special, then that is that man's opinion. But the problem is he put it under a banner of a company, and when we look at that company, that is the thoughts and that is the thoughts of said company. That should have been something he put on his own Twitter account versus put on the IGN account. And I think people would have been as outraged about it if that would have happened that way. But like I said, they are opinions, and people need to stop thinking that reviews are the end and be all and they're fact, because they're not.
Well, no, they should treat it as gospel for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's be real. Let's be real though.
But I just want to say, like, he said things that were not true about the game. He said,
"Oh yeah, he did."
And so it's just like, I mean, at some point, yeah, you have an opinion, but your opinion can't be stuff that's untrue. That's
what
just
was
like
the things that he said.
He said there was nothing about the Battle Royale that hadn't already been done. Like it's like
there's some truth to that though.
Well, there is. I mean, it's not all true, but it's like Respawn being able to revive people from Respawn. That's something new, but you know
the epic jump, as Forte described it.
Yeah, the epic jump. I love the epic jump.
That jump has been done before.
I mean, the ultimates hadn't been done before in a battle royale setting.
But they're also talking about, he might not be talking about just in a battle royale setting. He might be talking about in gaming period, because that's something that people kind of, you know, put that game in the same spot as something like Overwatch that does something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like really, but is that? But I mean, the title
Overwatch isn't a battle royale game though.
Yeah, it's not.
See, my issue, like when stuff like this happens, is like I just look at the company. Like you chose this person to be the representative of whatever said game is. So when you allow them to be that representative and put their thoughts out there under your banner, whatever your company is, that's on you. You know what I mean? Right. You got to understand who you chose to represent, the content that you gave them, and what their thoughts could be. Because at the end of the day, you empowered them to do that. So whether they reviewed the game, you know, with flying colors or gave it a 30 overall, you know what I mean? Like you chose that person to give that content to review that content and then put their thoughts out to the world under your banner. So, you know what I mean? When you take that kickback like IGN did with the whole Apex Legends thing or with the Resident Evil thing, you chose. Damon Hatfield has been at IGN for how long? Many years. You know what I mean? That man been around there. Mm-hmm. So how do you play Resident Evil 2 and know that you can play as another character? Like you chose that man to represent that. Yep. So when you allow him to put out his thoughts and, you know what I mean, represent your company, like you got to look in the mirror at yourself. Like how did that even happen? This man has been at this company for X amount of years. How does that even happen? Mm-hmm. He's been playing games like you talk about every week. Yeah. So how do you even let that happen? Especially when you work at a big ass company, and I'm sure he's talked to other people who's played Resident Evil.
Right.
So I'm sure the conversation around it had to been like, oh, did you check out the other story? Did you know what I mean? Did you experience this or experience that? How did a review come out without any of that conversation happening before, you know what I mean, they had to take it back?
And also be why is nobody talking to Dan, what's his name? Dan Stapleton? Yeah. Like you're the reviews editor.
Right.
It goes across somebody's desk before it goes out.
Yeah, no checks and balances.
Right. We've had numerous situations now where they looking spooky.
Wasn't he the same one that said after the Philip Muchin?
I was on vacation though. I was on vacation.
Yeah, he said he was on vacation.
He distanced himself away from that one.
Well, who's your number two?
He also said that like after that situation that they were going to change their process to kind of make, have like someone that's actually looking at these reviews before they go out. Well, how come no one realized, the whole Resident Evil 2 thing or the Apex Legends thing? Like how come there is the actual review is when people read the review and be like,
that ain't it, man.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not right.
I don't know why nobody does this system anymore, but you guys remember like Electronic Gaming Monthly, how they used to do their review? They had a three crew review.
Yeah, I
like 3 different opinions, 3 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And you usually got in between those 3 people a good sense of what the game was. They weren't super long. Each one had like their little blurb or their little part of it, depending on how big the game was. You know,
yeah, they all scored like. Did they score like individually too?
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, they all had an individual score.
Yeah, I do like that.
But it's a good check and balance because someone was like, "Yo, Damon,
you know
there's another part of this game, right?"
Yeah,
like we can't put that out. But maybe it's one of those things. Maybe because they are like the biggest site, it's like nobody's, somebody sleeping at the wheel.
I mean, they could, they could be understaffed for all we know. They could be busy, and it shit just is unfortunately, slipping through the cracks. I mean, it happens. I mean, it happens at other companies.
Right.
We just say it's not happening at IGN. I mean, who knows? I mean, I guess my only concern is it's funny. Like, I feel like these things are, like with the plagiarism thing at IGN. I saw people say, "Oh, this is gaming media. They plagiarize all the time." I'm like, no, that's not the case. They're not plagiarizing all the time. It's not this rampant problem of plagiarism in the journalism in game journalism, at least that we know of. But I feel like sometimes it gets blown out of context too.
Well, a lot of it,
with some of these things, it's like, and I think a lot of it's just to fuel, console wars nonsense, which is, which kind of brings me back to Ibarra's tweet, like. It's funny, like people went after Ryan McCaffrey for saying, "Hey, it's okay to like, mediocre games." Here's a VP of a company, of Microsoft, Ibarra, tweeting this out. I personally, I don't think it's a good look. You're calling journalists out like this, and actually one journalist actually had pretty I don't know, I guess a pretty aggressive response to what Ibarra tweeted, and I'm not going to give his name out, but he basically said, to be fair, if I just shipped a product like Crackdown 3, I too would be wary of media reviews. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, it's funny. Like, there's a lot of beating of the drum with the whole Ryan McCaffrey thing, which I didn't have an issue with because I feel like a lot of people were attacking him and IGN because they didn't agree. God forbid, they didn't agree with the reviews of Crackdown 3. But like someone like Ibarra as a VP tweets this out, it almost seems like, it's whatever, it's all good. What do you guys think? Do you guys think he maybe kind of overstepped his boundaries here a little bit?
I don't think so. I look. He works for Microsoft. He works for Xbox Game Studios. He is defending as he feels, defending his brand, defending a product that they put out. I don't see this any differently than someone at Coca-Cola. They come out with a different flavor of Coca-Cola, and people say it tastes like dog piss, and he's like, "Well, screw you. No, it doesn't. It still tastes better than Pepsi. Damn it." Like, like if that is, you do you. Like, he works for Microsoft. I have no problem with it whatsoever. It's the same way I didn't have a problem with the new head of the PlayStation division and the stuff that he said in the past. I knew what he was doing. He's saying all kinds of outlandish crap. He is toting the line, the company line. We are not for crossplay right now. We gotta protect the children. Like, yeah, you say outlandish crap to defend your company. I understand it. I mean, I'm not going to agree with it all the time, but I understand it. I don't have a problem with what he said.
What was he defending for Microsoft? Because he was talking about Anthem, right?
But they have the marketing rights for Anthem.
Yeah.
So for them, it's still somewhat of a
it's a Microsoft issue still.
It's a Microsoft issue still because they're marketing that game for EA. And so, it becomes a part of what they're doing anyway. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing that I see from people in the community is, Michael Barr is out here acting like he's part of the community and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, but all you guys say is why you guys defend Microsoft on the things that they do. It's not like you get a check from Microsoft, but this man literally does get a check from Microsoft.
Yes, he does.
So
exactly.
he can say whatever the hell he wants when it comes to stuff like this. And I don't have a problem with it. I know the biggest thing, people just want Microsoft and their executives to shut the hell up. But I also remember 3-4 years ago when people were like, oh, Microsoft's developers don't play games. They're CEOs and stuff. All they do is just put out mediocre games and they don't talk to their community. They don't know their fan base. But as soon as they start doing that, now we're starting to see the opposite from what people are saying. They talk to us too much. They don't know how, they still don't know how to make games. And on top of that, they run their mouth about things they shouldn't be running their mouth about. So I just don't understand what they want people to do when it comes to this.
Yeah, but see, I don't have a problem with Mike talking about the review thing. I think it's when it's like the wording that you use, like you go into the whole whining thing, and that sounds like a fanboy. Because that's all the fanboys do all day is go at everybody, telling them they're whining and crying and this and that. So I think that's kind of what stuck out to people, right? I don't really have a problem with any of these dudes saying whatever the hell they want. It's their Twitter, say what you want to say. I just kind of look at it like, that's interesting. Like, Ibarra calling out, Sony on the crossplay. It's like, but dude, you still have a paywall up.
Right.
Yeah.
But you gotta think about, you're saying you're for the gamer, but at the same time, like you're making money behind a paywall.
True.
So you gotta, it's gotta. And my thing is, if you're gonna call it one way, call it the other way. But some fanboys like, no, it's okay for him to dunk on people like that. Or if you look at, him talking about making the joke, and I looked at it as a joke, but he's talking about, we all make mistakes, talking to the worker.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, yeah, but that's a Sony person talking shit. I was like, from the gist of his tweet, nobody said anything to him. The person just said, hey, I prefer PS4. Well, we all make mistakes. There was nothing that the person was dunking on him. It sounded like he dunked on the person.
So why is it that Ryan McCaffrey can't defend his brand, if you will, but Mikey Barra can?
Who said he couldn't?
Exactly.
No, I mean, a lot of people said he couldn't. A lot of people said that he was being
standard, man.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people said Ryan McCaffrey was out of line. He was unprofessional. They said
I don't agree with that at all.
They said he was trying to tell people what they should like, and all he was doing was defending his brand, IGN, in the review they put out, much the same way, Ibarra is, kind of defending the Xbox brand, if you will. My question is to you guys is, why is it okay for Ibarra and not Ryan McCaffrey?
Because Ibarra is one of us when it comes to the Xbox community. And
man, he's not one of us, man. I don't make his money.
Well, I know what you're saying, but that's what they look at. They look at Mike Ibarra as
tribalism,
one of us when it comes to the Xbox community, so they don't get down as hard on him versus Martin McCaffrey. And we have this whole narrative where games journalism is completely slated towards the Xbox, and nobody will ever come out and say that they don't believe that, because everybody that talks about in their videos for the last couple of weeks has been saying, oh, the media bias is coming back around full force and all this other crazy stuff. But that's why people give Ryan McCaffrey more of a hard time, because they don't consider him an Xbox guy.
But
which
why
I think is crazy. I think that's crazy
because he doesn't get up there. Because he doesn't get up there and tell them what they want to hear all day long and make up stuff. And that's why I said these same cats that keep accusing him of that,
pat him on his head and tell him good boy. That's exactly why they try to shit on him and stomp a mud hole in him and try to say he ain't an Xbox guy.
Let me ask you this though. So there's podcasts in this community that get double, triple the views that we get. A lot of them all agree with each other. So, but why do those? So with them getting all that viewership and everybody does nothing but agree with each other, and they're all basically just circle jerking. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are more in line with listening to that versus listening to when people have critical, thoughts about what's going on with the company?
Because we have proof that people like being lied to.
Exactly. That falls in line with what they're thinking, and that's why they continue to listen to that.
Right.
And that's why they listen. And that's why Ryan McCaffrey gets the shade that he gets, because he doesn't fall in line with the thinking of most people in this community.
Right. And fortunately, what I said on Twitter a few days ago was, if you're offended by what he said, it's because he's talking directly to you, and the arrow hit you directly because he's talking to you. He could have said Sony, Nintendo, whoever, put that in there, and I would have looked at it and went, oh, okay. He's not talking to me because I don't partake in that behavior.
Yeah, he was talking to fanboys explicitly.
How many of you guys, when y'all saw that statement from him, actually felt like a certain way about it?
I didn't
think anything.
I was like, he going in on these people.
No,
I agreed and retweeted it.
Right. Forte, you saw the people that got offended and responded and picked up their torches are all the ones who don't think that they're those type of people, but that's exactly who he's talking to. It's like you're in your field about a console, and there are people who think he's elitist and think he's this and that. And I'm like, I don't know the dude. I'm not here to defend him. He's perfectly capable of defending himself. But it's like, you guys are in your feelings because he said, first, all this is about Crackdown being mediocre, which, again, is his opinion. Why don't you put that same energy back at Microsoft? Ryan didn't make the games.
Right.
They made the games. But at the same time, I didn't see any of these people dunking on Ryan when he gave the Master Chief Collection a 9.5, even with the broken online.
Facts. Preach.
I didn't see anybody go, Ryan, you're wrong about that. What?
Ryan, we going? Your online broken.
How you even high on drugs when he did that? Because that's ridiculous.
I remember looking at that like 9.5. The online part is
Ryan loved it though. He was loving it. The review, he praised it, despite whatever technical issues it had.
In that instance, he was like acting like a YouTuber.
Everything was a technical issue.
Yeah, everything was.
And in that instance, Slow-Mo, he was acting like a YouTuber. Or not all YouTubers, but the YouTubers that just put on blinders and just go in on whatever.
Yeah.
But he was being a fan at that point. But nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about when they praised the technical designs of the Xbox One S, but even before the X even came out. They were like, yo, they hit this out of the park. You didn't see anybody sharing that, retweeting it, talking about it, except for fans. You saw fans doing it, but you didn't see any of these fanboys who go at it every week the minute somebody says something negative. They talk about the fact that, they're irrelevant. IGN is irrelevant. Ryan's irrelevant. He's not an Xbox dude, but he stays in your mouth. They stay in your mouth constantly. Why? Because they're a final boss in your head that you can't get past.
Final boss.
That's the bazooka.
That's all I'm saying.
Jackson with the zingers tonight. I hear. Okay.
And it's the same cats every time. And it's like, so now I'm at a point where I see people say media bias. I don't even think they're talking about Kotaku or anybody else. I say they're talking about IGN.
Hey, B, let me ask you something, B. You saw the Ryan tweet about it's okay to like mediocre games. Do you feel like he was trying to tell people what they can and can't like? Because that was out there. People thought that.
Nah, man. I didn't think he was trying to go that route. You know what I mean? Just telling people you can like what you like, man.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. You can enjoy Crackdown. You can pick it up, have fun with it, and that's cool. But
I think he was.
You know what I mean? This is just my opinion.
I just think in so many ways he was saying what I've been saying, that why are you basing your feelings on another man's opinion?
Yeah. Right. Gosh, thank you.
Right.
Why do and it's not just the Xbox community. It's all the communities. It's even sometimes not even fanboys. This is one of the things that I got hot about this week was so many people taking the opinion of one person and allowing that person's one opinion to basically make the decision on whether they're going to play a game or not for them. Who is that person to you? Why is that person's opinion so damn important to you? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, do you have a brain in your head? Explain to me why you can't look at a game and choose to decide to play it or not. You gotta wait till your favorite YouTuber comes out and says, I played the game, I ain't like the story. What do you ain't like about the story? I don't know, I ain't like the story. Yeah, whatever. All right, I'm not buying. And then under that, all of the replies in Twitter, you see all these people, thank you, I'm canceling my pre-order. Why? What did he say?
That's the new age.
Pre-order? Are you serious, dude?
That's the new age. That's the social media age, man.
Hey, get out of
me, man. Look, man. Look, I remember, and sometimes, and I'm even going to admit to myself, like sometimes I fall and prey to this. Like everyone was talking trash about Quantum Break when they first came out. Oh, it's terrible. It had a lot of issues and whatnot. I skipped the game, even though I was interested in the game. I skipped it. Then years later, I picked Quantum Break up on sale for like $15 on Xbox Store. Played it myself. I enjoyed the hell out of that game. I felt bad because I'm like,
because you paid $15 for it, man.
Well, then
I paid 60. We're like, what the fuck?
Look. If I would have paid
and a terrible boss battle at the end,
that boss battle was trash. I agree, but I really enjoy. I actually enjoyed stopping and looking at like the journal entries and finding out like some of the things that were going on behind the scenes that I didn't see, like the story, like finding out who the black guy really was the entire time that was working for the corporation. Like, wow, like look, I really enjoyed that game, and there's like, if I would have gone with the community decision that the game was trash and you shouldn't play it, you know, I would have missed out on a great experience. Stop letting people who they don't have your wallet. They have no bearing upon what you play and what you buy, determine what you should play and what you shouldn't play. If someone says the game is trash, okay, all right. If you're actually interested in the game, play the game then. It's on you. It's your money. Stop being a sheep and a drone and stop letting other people determine to you what's good or not, because they sometimes some of these people not as smart as they pretend they are, not as intelligent as they think they are, especially when they come out with videos about games claiming that the gameplay's bad, and you look at the game and you realize they playing it wrong.
Wait a minute, what about, I got even better. They're playing they talk about a game that they don't even know anything about because they haven't even played it.
So that's the social media age, man.
So
yeah.
You go wherever somebody's talking about a game, if they're popular enough to have influence over you, that'll steer you away from games. Look at Tomb Raider. They said Tomb Raider sold 4 million copies. It's on 3 platforms.
Yep. Yeah.
How does that even happen?
That's crazy, man.
How does that even happen? Because everyone says,
because everybody said that game wasn't as great as the first 2.
Yep.
And nobody touched it.
Nobody touched it.
Mm-hmm. I had multiple friends tell me it was good.
Look, now that we're getting into this part of the topic, let me get started with Anthem. Okay, so
that's all right. By the way, Slim, I really like this topic because it made, like, when you brought it up in DM, I'm like, ooh, that's a great conversation piece, man, because I really do think there's something to that, because we're seeing it from some of the feedback in the media right now. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation because it's really almost like no one who's really at fault here, except for maybe probably EA is at fault for this. And what I'm talking about is this whole early access thing. So EA wanted more money. And that's what they're all about. They're about money. So they allow early access for Origin Premier customers to play the game a week early. And EA Access members on Xbox can play the game for 10 hours, which I think is some bull crap, but whatever. So the issue here is that the game's not ready. And the game still got a lot of issues that Bioware, who I will give them props for, is quickly addressing these issues and fixing things, quickly as possible. As Forte said, the day 1 patch is out 2 days early, but it's not going to matter because the reviews are already done. Reviews are done, and the reviews are being reviewed off of what the build is that came out last Friday, and not the fixed build. So people are going to read reviews on a game that's talking about bugs and talking about stuff in the game, like the Tombs mission that everyone hates. Yeah. That's been fixed already. But there are going to be people who will read the review and not know that. There are some reviewers who they probably won't even go into the Metacritic, because most of them are YouTubers, but they are jumping on this game out of a sense of basically just riding the train. Everyone hates the game, I'm gonna jump on into. And they are like, why would you do a 40-minute review of a game and you don't mention it, and you're reviewing stuff, and it's like it irks me, because I don't have a problem with you saying this was my experience, but at least throw in there that's been patched, because it isn't about you whining about your experience. Yeah, I use whining. I use your borrowed word. It's not about you whining about your experience. You're supposed to be informing the gamer on whether this is a good purchase or not. See, it's not about you, dumbass. It's about the people that you're supposed to be talking to. So when you do a review and you say the Tombs mission, that was bad, it really hurt my experience, I'm not playing the game anymore, I quit. When you do that and you don't mention that's been fixed, you do a disservice to the community that looks to you and the sheep that you have following you that choose to pre-order or not pre-order games based upon your opinion. So that crap pisses me off. But again, I go back to EA because it's EA's fault, because EA allowed this to happen. They put Bioware in this position where Bioware is releasing a game a week early that's not ready, ready to be released a week early. It's ridiculous.
So lot to say there. So my whole thing is, I don't have a problem with the early. I mean, I can understand what someone was saying about the early access, and I do think that is part of the problem because they didn't adhere to that with Apex Legends, which is a EA game. They could have easily said games available for everybody with EA Access or EA Premier 1 week early, release it for everybody a week later. Which I don't think for that. I don't know how it would have played out for that game, but it probably would have been just as bad. But they shown that they can, move stuff back in the background for just the player's sake when it comes to these games. I don't have a big problem with the EA Access because it's been there since the beginning. I feel like they should have delayed the game a week or 2 weeks to basically get everything right in the game from the beginning, because it's that Tomb mission irritated the hell out of me. Like, I was on that mission for probably 6 hours. Because you couldn't do it with friends. The stuff didn't tie over to your game if you were doing it with other people. So you would have to go back in and do that stuff all over again. And it was like a quarter of my playtime. And it was just idiotic to expect people to go in and have their time, respected when it comes to that. And to their credit, they've done a lot of things to actually get the game up and running. They put out day one patches. They put out other patches. They just put out, like you said, the patch that's for day one, 2 days early. And the people that are going to play this game on the 22nd will never, ever know about any of this stuff. Why? Because most of the developers put out their facts and talked about everything they wanted to talk about the game. There's a few of them, like IGN is still doing the review in progress. They said that's not going live until... It's not going live until the 22nd. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have to say on it, because they're one of the few that haven't put out a review and they're basing it off the final product, which is good for them. And most of the developers, most of the media isn't doing that, because we all know it's about the click rate. And the only way you're going to do that is get it while it's hot. So Somo's absolutely right. EA is definitely at fault for this, but I just don't blame them 100% because it's something that's always been there. The game should have just been delayed for another 2 weeks just to make sure all the ducks were in a row when it came to pushing out this game, because BioWare is counting on this game. We don't know what can happen to BioWare if this game does not succeed.
Well, you say you won't give them the full blame, but whose decision is it to or not delay the game 2 more weeks?
I give EA the full blame, because
no. I give EA most of the blame. I just don't blame them fully for the whole thing. I just feel like things could have been did in the background. Now, if this was a decision that came up in, you never know what happens in development. Maybe BioWare came out and told them, like, this isn't going to be ready. There's going to be some stuff that's going to have to take a week to get fixed. And if EA told them, which I guess we just have to go off of common knowledge, EA just wants that money and they want it now. Maybe they did say, hey, we'll push the game out, fix it later, and we'll just deal with the backlash over the next couple of weeks. So if that's the case, then yeah, 100%. That's all on them.
See,
go ahead.
I pulled the blame on EA because, like, we've seen this with other games. Like, they release games that are broken and they patch them later on, and I don't think like this game Anthem, like they're.
But some of these games have been released like broken, and it took longer. I could see if it was. The situation I'm talking about is more. I would agree with you if most of the games that they released were broken to the point where all they had to do was take another week in the cooker to actually fix it. But most of those games took weeks, months to fix, like Battlefield, months.
Battlefield was 4?
But 4 months to fix it.
The issue, right? the issue that I have though, Forte, and I hear what you're saying is, but the issue I have is that Anthem is getting into a genre. Bioware's getting into this genre they've never been in. It's a new game. It's launching right before Division 2. It's we know about Destiny. Destiny's already kind of, has I guess improved from Destiny 1. Has made a name for itself, and Anthem's kind of this unknown right now. And
the first big multiplayer game of the year.
What's that?
It's the first big multiplayer game of the year, like big AAA multiplayer game of the year.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I think that like when Slim, when you're talking about like, EA Access and Origins, like these first impressions, I feel like for a game like this, first impressions are everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah,
there's so many. What is Anthem? Like, what? I mean, I remember I was playing the VIP demo, and I'm like, "What is this?" Like, I have no context to the story of why I'm playing, why I'm flying around the way I am. And when I got to play the game on Access, and I finally got access to the story, I was like, "Whoa, okay!" Like now I get it, But that's what I'm saying. Like first impressions are everything, especially I think for a game like this that's going up against Destiny, which is an established franchise, an established brand, and it's going to be going up against the Division 2, which is coming out next month. So
yeah.
And when you bring out like all the influencers from those games, you know what I mean, from Destiny, all the big influencers from Division, and you fly them out to come play your game, and they aren't saying the best things about it when it's about to come out in a couple of days or a week. You know what I mean? Like all those influencers have great followings. You know what I mean? You look at Eric's, you look at Dantix, you know what I mean? You look at Marco Style, like all those people have been in those communities for a long time. You know what I mean? Giving their opinion. They have great following. So when people come out and say like, "Yo, I'm not really having fun with this game," or you know what I mean, this is frustrating me. This isn't a game I pick up day one. Guess what? All those people who follow them are gonna do.
I'm gonna call BS on some of the stuff that they said though, because I follow a couple of those people that went, and when you go look at their streams and they were talking about the game before it released, they talked about the experience they had with it at the capture event before the game actually released out. They were saying nothing but great things about the game, and as soon as the game released, then you start hearing in the background like, "Oh well, yeah, some of these issues were there when we played the game, but we just pushed a lot of that to the side because they said a lot of this stuff is going to be fixed in the final build of the game."
Nah, I don't believe that.
I'm sorry. If you go to a capture event and you see something wrong with a game, it is your responsibility as a gamer, most of all, to let other gamers know, like, "Hey, I loved my experience with the game. I'm not saying the game is bad, but the game does have bugs in it that probably will show its face when this beta or this demo comes out. And there's probably a chance that none of this stuff is going to be fixed by the time the final game releases." But they weren't saying that. They waited till after the fact when people already started popping down $100 for EA Access or $5 for EA for Origin what's the name, and started spending their money. And then that's when they want to start saying stuff about the game.
Yeah, and not to just get on the big time content creators, because they are like I agree with Forte. Like if you saw these things back when they flew you out and wine and dined you, you should have been saying it then. Don't wait until you've been wine and dined and treated well and got the manny and petty to then go after the fact talk about all the stuff that you should have said to them weeks ago. You look like somebody who just basically just took them for a ride, and now you're going to go to your community and look like you're such an edgy, objective gamer by going out and railing against a bunch of stuff that you didn't speak about, previously. Another thing I want to get into, and this is something that I think me and B and the DM have been discussing yesterday, is that what I don't necessarily take exception to it, but I don't quite like when people who openly say they don't like a certain genre go in on a particular game of that genre, and the things they say don't line up to like really be real, like real criticisms. For example, if you are not a fan of the loot shooter genre, you play, like, you should say, I think you should say that before you start discussing your opinion on it, because that will allow me to know how much stock I'm going to put into your opinion. If I look, I don't play fighting games. I used to play them when I was like, back in the day when I was a kid and I had my Sega Saturn. I used to play all the Street Fighter games with my buddies. I used to love it then. I'm not really into fighters no more. So if the next Dead or Alive comes out, the next Mortal Kombat 11 comes out, and I'm telling you, oh, it's trash, don't play it. Don't listen to me. The fuck do I know? I don't play them games like that. Like if I told you I played Mortal Kombat 11 for 2 hours and it's trash, my opinion does not hold as much weight as someone say like Titanfall Princess, who plays fighters all the damn time. If she says the game's trash, now that's got my interest. You see what I mean? So when certain people say they openly admit that they don't like looter shooters, openly admit that they were not interested in Anthem and the Division 2 months ago, and they come play the game, they're like, I played the game for 2 hours. I thought the combat was boring. I thought the story was boring. I was just bored. Okay. Thank you for your opinion, but I don't care, because clearly you don't get these kind of games. And when I look at your gameplay stream and you're playing Anthem and you have the storm and you're walking on the ground and complaining about your guns, I definitely know you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Oh boy.
And I'm not going to care about your opinion. You don't know how to play the game. Period. You don't know what you're doing, which is fine. It's not your jam. It's not for you. But just like, I think you should let people know before they get into it, because there are people who have, and like even smaller YouTubers have communities of people who follow what they say and respect what they say in other genres. Like, if it's Kingdom Hearts 3, if it's Resident Evil, if it's Dragon Quest, whatever, different genres, and then like, hey, look, they get into it, they can get deep into what their issues were with the game. Okay, I see what you're saying there. You know what you're talking about, bro. But with this, you won't have a clue what you're saying. When someone says they played the Division 2 beta and they were bored, okay, you don't like looter shooters. I'm just going, you just don't like those. You don't like looter shooters. That's my opinion on your feedback, and therefore I know how to place your opinion in my lexicon of whether I give a shit. So it irks me. and I know B had a different feel for a different opinion, but I just feel like you should, like, you're never going to hear me come up here and talk about like, yeah, look, you fighting game fans, do not buy the next Street Fighter. Don't do it. It's just bad. It's bad. Like, it's just two guys like fighting each other on a 2D plane. I mean, like, who wants to play this? Like, what the hell? Like, you're gonna be like, what? Like, it's exactly why I play the game. So it's. Go ahead, man.
I was just saying, Slim. I see your point, man. Like, if you don't like those games, you don't like that particular genre, and you're speaking to an audience, I could see why you would want to preface that with, hey, by the way, this isn't my genre of choice. I don't particularly like these games, so that whoever you're speaking to can kind of they can process that information, maybe with the thought of, okay, well, this person doesn't like it. So I'm taking whatever they might say with a grain of salt, not maybe absolutely gospel, as opposed to someone who actually likes the genre and has played the game and understands it and so forth. I mean, I see what you're saying.
I mean, I totally agree where Slow-Mo's coming from, and I agree. You should preface it with, maybe you're not into that genre, but I think a lot of people, especially in the social media age, like they try a lot of games that they wouldn't normally try. Like, maybe Destiny wasn't your jam, and maybe the Division was like, you played it for a while and that wasn't your jam because you played at the beginning and enemies took 5 clips before you killed somebody. So it's like, nah, that wasn't it. So then you hear like, oh, Bioware is working on the game. Oh, I love Jade Empire. I love Mass Effect. Like, let me see what they're cooking up. And you try that game and it's like, nah, that wasn't it either. Like, I think it's still cool to go in there and try the game and give your opinion. And you know what I mean, maybe you should preface, you know what I mean, that you're not really into that genre or whatever. But I think a lot of times, you know, when you look at other games like Persona 5 or like games like Neo, you know what I mean, like stuff that, or like just like Dark Souls and stuff like that. Like so many more people hopped on the Dark Souls like this generation, like who had no inkling of playing that game when it was on 360. But they started playing Dark Souls, or they played Bloodborne, or they played Neo, or you know what I mean, jumped on Persona 5 when they have never played a turn-based game, or you know, played turn-based games and wasn't really interested in them. You know what I mean, some games just have that hook, and it's like, yo, now I can rock with it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't play turn-based games, but they really like Dragon Quest 11. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Sometimes you get, you know, a game can hook you, even if it's not the genre that you usually rock with.
Yeah, and I can definitely understand. I think Lay in the chat also agrees with you, B. And he also said a little while earlier, so basically, don't review the game if you don't like the genre. I think he was saying that in response to me. And Lay, I'm not saying that. I just think that if you're going to take the approach of reviewing a game, I think you need to let your personal preferences about the games that you enjoy be as minimal as possible. You need to try to, you know, if I'm reviewing, let's see, if I'm reviewing Madden, and I don't really care about football games like that, I don't need, like, that shouldn't come off in my review, because I need to make my review, tailor my review to the audience. And the audience that is going to play Madden likes football games. They like football simulation games. Me not liking them shouldn't mean shit. So what I need to do is go a little bit further in researching it. You know, I may not be enjoying playing it, but continue to keep playing it so that I can be able to look at what this particular version of Madden, this year's Madden, is doing better than last year's version. Give people what they want to hear and what they want to know. I think that's important if you're going to do a review of a game. If you're just basing it off of how you personally feel, that's okay. I don't really think that's a review. That's maybe just like your personal feedback on a game. But when you give your personal feedback on a game and you say game's trash, you need to make sure that you let people know before you say game's trash, I don't even like this genre. So that's something that, like, I think that's the difference between doing a review and you just giving people your impressions on a game, is that you know, I don't see too many reviews just calling a game straight up trash, unless it's really like a broken piece of mess, you know, that's like,
unless it's Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah, right. So
such a strong word used right now.
Yeah, trash is used. I think it's used way too often when it comes to games nowadays. Like a lot of people calling Crackdown 3 trash. I don't agree that it's trash. People are welcome to their opinion.
Well, they're welcome. Mediocre either.
Segue. If the game is not rated 85 or higher, it's trash, man.
Yeah. That's the way this community is now. If it's not 85 or higher, it is dumpster juice.
That's crazy, man. Well, guys, that's actually, and by the way, some great points there. I mean, I thought it was a interesting discussion, DM, and great points of view. And but I do want to segue to Crackdown 3 since it's come out, and I did a review for the game. You know, and then there was a whole issue with it being mediocre. I don't understand what happened with this game. It just, some of the backlash and the anger I saw were just, I can't wrap my mind around. And I played the game. I did a review. It's up on the Basement Radio Arcade YouTube channel. I think B, you played it now or no?
No.
Eric, have you played it?
Yeah.
4T, I think you played it.
Sure have.
And Slimmo, you played it.
Yep, I got. I'm at the end of the campaign, so I probably will. If I can tonight, if I have the energy, I might finish it tonight.
I have it beat by this weekend.
Yeah, me too. So what is everyone's thoughts on the game? I mean, obviously this game, there's a lot of, I think, at least for me, I think there's a lot of excitement about the implementation of cloud in the beginning when they announced this game in 2014. And then there was some grave concerns I think that a lot of us shared. I know we had Tim Dog on, I think, right around the time that they showed it at San Diego Comic-Con, right? Was that last year? Is that when we had Tim on? What was it?
Yeah, I think it was before E3 last year.
Yeah, right around the time.
Yeah, it was.
Tim Dog?
Yeah.
I wasn't. It had been before I started.
You weren't a regular on yet.
Yeah, you weren't a regular on yet. And Tim came on. I think we had a good conversation, like, about some of the development concerns of Crackdown 3 and it being canceled, or not canceled, but delayed, and then some of the issues with the cloud development that was going on behind the scenes. I typically don't check Metacritic, but I think is it at a 59 still, Meta?
It's probably floating around there somewhere.
I thought it went up to 60, but I'll double check right now.
All right.
According to my timeline, I thought it was like 58, 59 still.
Say 59, 60. So
I thought it would have been a 3 compared to how people are talking about it.
I know, right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah, so let's have an honest conversation.
3.5. No, it's a 60 there. It's a 60 right now. It's probably going to stay there at 73 reviews. It's probably stay at that 60.
Right, 60, yeah. So let's have an honest conversation here. Like, what is everyone's thoughts about Crackdown 3? For those of us,
before we go too deep into this, I just want to put this back out there. This wasn't new. It wasn't like it was a surprise. If you go back and listen to old Braps, B said it, I said it, Enrique said it. It was right around Comic-Con. I said they showed this game. I don't think they meant to show that much. I was looking at that map. I said, yo, that game looks like Crackdown 1.
Yep.
And that's when the cars were stacking up on each other. And granted, what they've done to it since then, they definitely added like the neon, the 4K, all that stuff looks great.
Yes.
But the game still looks like a remaster. I said they really should be calling this Crackdown Remastered, not Crackdown 3. I don't see anything there that's making it look like a sequel. Yep. He said this a lot, and people, what did they do on Twitter?
Oh,
if it's more Crackdown, I'm okay with that. It should just be this. It should be, it's fine. And it's like, see, here you go. You guys are here for the bullshit. This is what you always do. It's like, instead of standing up and saying it's not not okay, they should be doing better. No, you want to fight everybody on it. Yeah. And tell everybody that they're wrong. And to make yourself feel better. But we were saying it. We've been saying it for the longest.
No, I mean, we have. I mean, B was pretty much like,
I told y'all 2 years ago that something was wrong with this game.
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Nobody wanted to listen to me. Everybody tried to get me out of here. I told y'all 2 years ago something was wrong with this game.
Yep. I remember I had debates on Twitter about it. I was like, yo, this game's looking spooky.
Yeah.
Well, look, we got. You know what? Everyone knew. I gotta call both sides of the community to the carpet on this. The Sony fanboys who acted like, oh my god, Crackdown 3's got a 60. Like, come on, man. You haven't been on podcasts, talking about this game like it was like Hitler for the past 2 years. You knew this was going to happen. Yep. You knew it was going to be this bad. And then for the other side, who was just like, I'm tired of talking about Crackdown 3. I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it. The game, we know this game's going to be bad. We know it's going to be bad. Right. And then when it comes out, they lose their damn mind on streams, going crazy for like an hour, saying the most ridiculous nonsense. Like, dude, you knew what was going to happen. There's not a single person who seen anything about this game ahead of time, knew the development hell it was going through, and did not know it was going to turn out this way. Mm-hmm. We may not have known that there would be no lobbies for multiplayer. I mean, damn, we all thought that would have been there, but we knew a Metacritic score of 60. Yeah,
there's apologies for that too. Notice nobody's focusing on that part of it, which is something that should be there. Games for how long now have had that, but everybody wants to focus on this mediocre score from one outlet.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to call out the fact that this multiplayer game that you built all this multiplayer around, I can't meet up with friends and play it.
That was the problem I had a problem. That was the one thing I had a problem with in the game.
But there's excuses for it, Forte.
No,
I'm sure it's coming.
There's no excuses for that, bro.
I'm sure it's coming. It's like I ordered Chinese food. I'm sure it's coming.
Oh shit!
You know what I'm
saying? like I made a video about that a couple weeks ago, and it was, it was basically just like it was like, why so mad about a game that you all knew was gonna be borderline not good? Like, if you like I said in the video, if you were a person that liked Crackdown, it's more Crackdown.
Right.
It's not going to be anything revolutionary. It's not going to be anything great, And then when they came, and then my whole stance really changed on it when we found out that you couldn't even play games with your friends in 2019 in a multiplayer game. That's when I got mad at Microsoft, because that's a legitimate thing that we did not expect, especially when you touted that as a main feature of the game. You touted it as you'll be able to play this game with up to 4 people. Then they took that down to 2.
Took that away, yeah.
They took that away, and then on top of that, they took it away and said, no, not at launch. What? In 2019, we can't play multiplayer at launch on a system that is based around multiplayer? So that was my biggest problem with it. But overall, I'm gonna read a comment that somebody left on the video, and it kind of speaks to what I think the whole problem is with people when they try to compare things. Person says Microsoft spent time overhyping trash. They deserve the hate coming their way. Anytime a company overhypes trash, they need to be shitted on so they can refrain from doing it again. The problem is Microsoft doesn't learn from this. You would think after the failures of Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2, they would learn about how they found their way into this situation, and even by putting even more trash out like Crackdown 3. First of all, last time I checked, Sea of Thieves, since the update, is doing way better than any of these fucking games that's releasing. It's always at the top of the Twitch directory up until Apex Legends came out. So people are actually enjoying that game. State of Decay was not a bad game. It wasn't a great game, but people enjoyed that game. But I just don't get this whole feeling about why people feel like every little thing that happens on a console with a game, you have to comment on it. If you're not interested in the game, you're not interested in the game. But guess what? The whole trash narrative that people use, all it is a buzzword. People use that word to rile up their fan base. They know they'll rile up the people on the other side. They'll get conversation going back and forth. And that's the only reason they use it, because that is the way that they get clicks on their video. These people get on my goddamn nerves because it's like we're never gonna get past we're never gonna get anywhere when it comes to this generation, when it comes to, or even next generation, because all it's gonna do is happen all over again. Microsoft's gonna probably do way better. They'll have a lot better games next generation. But guess what? The first time they come out with a game that hits around a 70 Metacritic, it's gonna be like, oh, see, Microsoft didn't learn from the games like Crackdown 3. So
yeah, but I mean that's in part. I mean, look, I mean that would be my reaction, and I think in part because
all games aren't meant to be like every game.
But we can't
this great.
Yeah, we can't go around and thinking that every game is going to be a 90.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
No,
that way.
Right.
No, but that is the implication. And I also wonder why. Like, I actually heard someone on a live stream say that they thought that they personally stated they thought the game should be like a 75.
It should be a 7.
But they felt that a 60 was justified based off of everything that went into this game as far as the technical tests and the downgrades and whatnot, and that because of all the disappointments, it deserves a 60. And it's like, what you're basically saying is that people are reviewing this game on a curve over a whole bunch of, like, you're not really reviewing the game itself. You reviewed the game and then you took points off based off of your personal opinion about other stuff that happened years prior that has nothing to do with the actual product in front of you. I hope that's not the case. I'm going to say I'm hoping that the reviewers are way more professional than that, and I'm going to say I disagree with the person that said that. But then I look at some of these things. I'm going to mention. I'm looking at right now the list of bad, like on the Metacritic, the list of bad reviews that are in the red, which are like 45 and below. Some of them, like from Giant Bomb, and this is something that will always bring up whenever we talk about Metacritic, is that Metacritic should not be the metric that we use. to be really determine whether a game is good or bad now. And honestly, for me, I my determination is my own personal opinion.
Exactly.
But people keep going to Metacritic, and Metacritic is a flawed system. How do you have a system based upon a number score, but then you only allow bad reviews on games that don't have a score? So you like Giant Bomb has a review. They killed it. But in Metacritic it shows as a 40. They didn't put a score in there. What if they felt it was a 0? What if they felt it was a 6?
I think on the site they give it like 3 out of 5 stars or something.
Yeah. I mean, like, why include that review that doesn't have a score? Do you put in the great reviews that say, "Hey, I love the game," but didn't give a score? Do you put that in as a 100? No. So why do you include the bad ones? That's not. I think that's a flawed system. And normally when I look at Metacritic, just me personally, I normally give a game 5 points higher, just based off of knowing that they allow bad reviews in when no scores. But regardless, that still only gets Crackdown 3 up to a 65, and is exactly where I kind of feel like it really should be at. But I guess I always have to kind of say that about Metacritic, because I kind of think it's and I'll continue to keep saying it until they fix that how they allow certain reviews and like that. Yeah. But regardless, like this, people need to the outrage that this started, and I'm so disappointed, because I was really hoping that people would just be like, it's a 60. I was really hoping people would just not make a big deal about it.
But here's the thing, though: the 60 is not indicative of like a game that is broken and unplayable. You know, like that's not what that is. I mean, it's an average, mediocre game. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy that series, you're going to enjoy the game. Like I said in my review, if you like Crackdown, you're going to like this Crackdown because it's Crackdown, but it's not.
Yeah, no more, no less.
Yeah, if you compare it to, and this is the thing that I find interesting. Like I think people have a hard time understanding that games have progressed over the last 12 years.
Yeah, and
as a gamer, you typically follow that level of progression, right? Your tastes change, your expectations of games change as technology improves, as new different franchises and specific genres cite different things. Those things change, and I just found it interesting that people are like, well, why are they comparing it to games today? I'm like, well, because it's the third installment of a franchise. It's not a remake. I've heard people even couldn't understand how something like Shadow of the Colossus got a better review than Crackdown 3, and I'm like, that's where we're going. Like it's not even a 1-to-1 comparison. But I don't know, guys. I enjoyed the game at times, and then like I said, like Eric and I talked about this a little bit the last couple of days. There were times where I hit a wall, and I just felt very indifferent to what I was playing. I didn't feel anything. It was kind of like I was going with emotions. That's not a fun game to me.
Do you guys think like the reviews are hitting harder more this year than ever because we are coming to the tail end of the generation?
What do you mean?
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense, B. I mean,
I think like if you just look at like some of the games that have released recently, like none of them are really scoring that high, like Metacritic wise. Like Metro probably was the last one that did pretty decent. I think that's at like an 80 or something like that. But if you look at Far Cry, that updates that put out, I mean, it was 75. Jump Force like was completely killed. Like that's a 58. You know what I mean? Like that away game that came out 55. Like there's a bunch of games like that have released in the last couple of weeks that aren't really reviewing that well.
Yeah, I think because we have so many samples now of like great games.
Yeah.
So when you get something like a Crackdown, if you're just gonna judge it on what it is, like it's like I said on Twitter, I told you guys already. I said, to me, I don't feel like it's a mediocre game because I do feel there, like if you're into that hook, if you're into it, even if you've never played a Crackdown, if that kind of thing speaks to you, like collecting and platforming like that, it's gonna speak to you in some kind of way, right? So I don't necessarily feel it's mediocre because I'm a big fan of the first Crackdown. I just said they called it a sequel, so I'm judging it as such. And as a sequel, it's uninspired. There's nothing in it that moves it forward. It's the third game in a series. So no, we're not going to sit here and go, well, it's just more Crackdown. No. If you're going to say, I said, personally, me, if I was there working on this, I would have said, you know what? I know we call this Crackdown 3, but we're going to strip that back. And we're just going to call it like Crackdown Revisited, Crackdown Kaboom, Crackdown the Terry Crews edition, whatever you want to call it.
A remaster, something.
Remaster something. Because now what you've done is you've taken the power, like that whole thing away of judging it for being a 3. And I think they put so much around, they had all these ambitions about the cloud destruction, this and that. They forgot there's a campaign tied to it. And now people are leaning on the campaign.
I thought the campaign is better than the multiplayer, man.
Well, it is because you look what turned out, but that's not what their intention was when they went into this.
Yeah.
You know, I told you when I look at that multiplayer, it looks to me like the live version of like an 80s G.I. Joe toy commercial. And the way the walls break down, I expect somebody to bust through and be like, you know, gotcha, Cobra, or something. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it looks like.
Funny. It does look like that.
Maybe, it's slow-mo. Maybe they should have built the multiplayer around that, like lean into it.
Hey, you know what? If they would have built it, it had like some, huge giant kid, like, like whenever you die, some kid like grabs your agent and like crumples them up or something and goes, "Oh, you got me," or something like that.
Right. Oh my god!
I would actually play that just to see those like death scenes or something, like something to add to it to kind of make like the reason why it looks the way it looks compared to the technical test that you initially showed. Yeah, it was a technical test. Yes, it was on different tech. Yeah, all those things, correct. But you still can't use those excuses when you drop the game the way it looks.
Slow-mo, I'm telling you,
the reason for not having a lobby. Like, what the hell? Like, that's not
that multiplayer, man. Like you said, like, you talk about the tech demos. I've heard that. Like people say, "Oh, well, that's a tech demo. They should have showed it or whatever the case is." Blah blah blah. But when you get into the game, man, like you're fighting in a world that looks like they just took look like you're fighting in like a geometry book, cylinders, shapes, and shit, and it just doesn't look. It's so uninspired. There's no like.
But see, that's the funny thing, Enrique, is like if you think back a few years, that's what dudes were beating their chest over. Like, oh, you're not gonna say nothing when this Crackdown drops and these buildings dropping on your head, right? Now, cats don't even talk about the multiplayer.
It's not even buildings like toppling over per se. It's like. I mean, they do fall down
off a wall. That's the way it looks to me.
Yeah, it looks like breadcrumbs, man. I mean, it's just like it's not even
breadcrumbs.
No, I mean it looks so.
Like somebody kicked over a gingerbread house.
Yeah, pretty much. Seriously, it looks so generic, and like most multiplayer games, when the map designs, when you're playing maps, and it has a a campaign component to it. There's typically some connection with the multiplayer map and maps that you may have played in the single player campaign. There's none of that here, and it's so generic. I was just like, wow, this is what I waited 5 years for. And the reason why I gave it a 6.5 is because of the multiplayer. I probably would have scored it a little bit higher, like a 7, if it wasn't for the multiplayer.
To something that both like pretty much we've all said about the campaign and it being typically no real evolution of the gameplay compared to the first game, and even with that, I still enjoyed playing the campaign. There've been parts of it where I've just enjoyed like taking on, like trying to shut down like one of those like chemical factories, and like you get up to like level 3 defense where like the corporation is sending all they got at you, and you're just you can't stop moving. You're just in that, and at this point I'm just running around with like 3 different kinds of rocket launchers at this point. I got a chemical gun where I shoot someone, and then in like a second later they explode in like chemical gas, and it takes out people. It has a AOE effect. I got another homing rocket launcher, and then another one that just like I shoot at someone and it sprays like different like rockets in the areas, like carpet bombs.
Carpet bombs, yeah,
and it's like I got those 3 within like the first 2 or 3 hours of playing the game, and I haven't had the need to change from those 3 guns.
No, and you won't need that. It almost makes the upgrading system completely obsolete, by the way, because you could just use those 2-3 weapons, dude, and you're good, man.
You're good. I mean, just straight like bosses come out, pop, it's over. Like,
you drop a cover bombs, it's like lights out.
Like lights on, lights off. Like it's just like that fast. Like I'm dropping bosses, and then sometimes the bosses only last a little bit longer. Like the one boss I fought that was in like some kind of airship. Only reason why that one took longer is he kept flying away from me.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what the first game was. Yeah. And I was talking to Ricky about this. I said they kind of went and put a little bit of personality into each one of these like themes of bosses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why again lean into that? Like, you should have some boss that's just like the size of the screen, that you have to take down in sections or something. Just be crazy with it. Just like you said, but you just run in like with a water gun, like bang bang, got you, and it's over.
It's over. As soon as you poke your head out of your bunker after I've killed like 300 of your goons, is pop is over. And see, like, that's how it was in the first game too. And so it's this is when we talk about like this genre, this kind of open sandbox, like you can do whatever you want. You can not even like bother taking on any of this stuff. You just go around blowing up, drop kicking civilians. Blowing up, like setting up cars and doing like a domino effect of explosions. If you want, you could do that all day long if you feel like it. Like this kind of
that was cool 10 years ago.
Exactly. Oh, that's what I was just about to say.
I didn't mean to steal your thunder, man.
No, man. You good? You all good, man. Look, like all that stuff was great back in 2007, 2009, and this wasn't the only game that was doing it. Remember Prototype? I loved
Prototype. Yeah,
love Prototype better more than I love Crackdown. The first Infamous was like this. You didn't have to do or you could just go around electrocuting people all damn day. Like but look at those 2 IPs and look at Crackdown. So look at Infamous. Infamous Second Son was different. It had a great story narrative. They changed things up. It's a little bit more linear than what it was before, and it benefited from that. That was a really, really good game, and even compares graphically some of these games that's coming out now, and that was a launch title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look at Prototype. Where is
Prototype? Man.
Prototype's dead.
Yeah,
like didn't they try to do that remaster collection?
They did.
They it in or whatever.
Yeah. And it's because it didn't evolve from what the first game did. The first game was great. You could turn into different people. You could absorb people. It was a little unethical, a little immoral. But I mean, whatever. I enjoyed it. You could absorb people and then look like them. And I mean, like you were definitely more of a powerful being than you are as as Asian in Crackdown. But
oh man, so
didn't do anything that Prototype 1 didn't already have. And then it bombed, and now Prototype's dead. So, like, when you come down with Crackdown 3, and you call it 3, like Eric said, if it's 3, you need to step it up. It needs to be a different level of game. You need to introduce something in the gameplay that we haven't seen before in this genre.
Yeah.
And it didn't do that. And so, therefore, it's just redundant.
Yeah, guys, real quick, I want to go to the live chat. Xbot 448, I think, brings up a great point. Crackdown is fun, over the top, colorful. Not every game needs a compelling narrative.
But it does when it's $60.
Well, I was about to say that. I think we'd be having a different conversation if the game was like $15.
And I know the next argument is usually Game Pass, but not everybody's going to get Game Pass. That game, even outside of Game Pass, should have been probably like $30-$40.
Yeah, I think it's the other thing too. Like, I think people are missing out on the fact that it's a $60 game, and so that changes, at least for me, changes the expectation of what I expect in a $60 game.
Yeah, and to Xbox point, I'll even take Xbox point and say, okay, not every game needs a compelling narrative. Cool, but for Infamous, that was something that was new. They added to the game that wasn't in the previous games, a stronger, more compelling narrative, and they made it more linear. What if you're not going to do that for Crackdown 3, you do need, if you're going to make this a 3, supposed to be, when you go to 3, you're expecting better than the previous game. At least give us something that's different that the first game didn't have. Now, I'm not saying this game, Crackdown 3, doesn't do what the first game did well. It does do it well. That's why it's still fun. But it doesn't bring anything new to this game. And I'm not saying this had to come up with something innovative we've never seen in gaming before. But it needs to come up with something that I haven't already done before. I mean, I like when I play Halo, when I play Gears, I mean, we talked about this before. We want something new with those games. They're stale. If it's just the same gameplay.
Yeah.
Halo and Gears going forward. It needs to come up with something different in order to get, this new crowd and
Marcus Phoenix.
Cool fans.
So what I'll say about this is I feel like this game is still fighting against its identity from ever so long ago when Halo was released with it. I feel like this game has never shed the identity of it being a game that was created because Halo was packaged with it. They haven't done anything with Crackdown 2, Crackdown 3 to make you feel any differently about this franchise other than, yeah, it's fun. It does what it does very well. But the main reason we all bought this game 10, 15 years ago is because we wanted to play a beta of a game that we wanted to play more than anything else. And the only reason that game sold as well as it sold is because of that. It has never shedded that expectation up until this point. So when I think slow-mo means that they haven't done anything new to bring people into the Crackdown universe, that's what my biggest problem is. Like, why do I buy this game outside of the fact that the only reason I know about it is because it was released with a Halo game ever so long ago? And that will always be the stigma for me until they do something to make me care about this franchise. Now, I love the game. I played it. I'm about probably 12 hours into it. I'm almost done with the game, and I think it's a fun game because I'm one of those people that like the whole repetitive grind of what this type of game is. Running around collecting agility orbs, that's fun as hell. You look in your area and you see like an orb there, he's like, next thing you know, 6 hours that went by and you're still looking for orbs.
Like Easter eggs.
It's fun as hell, but the substance of the game is lacking, and that is the problem that I have, and I think a lot of other people have with it. But that doesn't mean the game is trash. That just means the game has things in it that needs to be worked on. Should it be a 4 or a 5 or a 6? No, I sit at a 7 for this game just because, and I can see 6.5 because the multiplayer should be there day one, and that is a big component of what Microsoft really touted this game having, and for that not to be there day one is a really big blow to this type of game. But it's a good game. It's serviceable. It's not broken. Broken Games actually said that. He was like, I don't believe a game should be a 4 or 5 unless it doesn't function, and the game does function.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Forte. I don't think this is a broken game, man. It's a great point.
Yeah, it's not a broken game at all. Fours should be, in my opinion, reserved for games that don't work. Like,
exactly.
You can't play the game at all. You can't, like that. For example, Aliens, Colonial Marines, when it was first launched, it was first released. You couldn't even complete the game. It was so it could not be completed as it launched. That's a 4 or less. That's a game that's broken, and this is not a broken game. I can't think of any bugs I've really seen. Maybe some audio glitches where the audio would drop out sometimes.
Yeah, I've had that. Yeah,
but that's nothing to complain about.
I mean, Anthem was more broken than this game was day one.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not even like State of Decay 2 is probably the buggiest game I've played at launch in the longest time, and even that I wouldn't say it was at the level of broken. So this game getting 4s, I mean, it's people's opinion, but I don't really agree with that.
So where does Crackdown 3 go from here? Where do you guys want to see it evolve? Like, do we get another Crackdown, or is this it?
I actually think there might be, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I think that there might be another one. I could see that happening. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd like to see them, with the campaign, maybe kind of expand the narrative a little bit. I thought there was a missed opportunity with Terry Crews in this game.
Very much.
I think he really, for me at least, when he comes in that opening cutscene, man, I was hyped, and then he just disappears.
Right.
He's drowned out by the audio in the game.
Yeah, and I think like they can like one of the things I enjoy, like I definitely like the art direction of the game. I thought like the comic book slides that they had to kind of tell the story were nice to look at, but I didn't think they really did the storytelling justice. I thought had they introduced cutscenes with some of the underbosses and the main villain, who was the head of Terra Nova, I thought had they maybe done cutscenes there, that would have maybe the game would have benefited that. We maybe cared more about some of these characters that we were going to fight. But that's what I would like to see in like in a Crackdown 4, if that's what they choose to call it. And better multiplayer this time around. With actually Cloud, like the buildings falling down as opposed to crumbling.
I would like to see. I do believe they'll continue on with Crackdown because apparently Phil loves it. Phil Spencer loves the franchise, so I don't think he's going to let it go. If that's the case, then I would like them to bring it in house. Don't rely on finally for once make a Crackdown game that's actually made by a first party studio. Let's try that for once. Well, because obviously first party studios with Xbox get resources that second party and third party studios do not. We saw that with State of Decay 2 with the developer wanting it to be AAA but getting a AA budget. So when you got they've come out in interviews, talking about State of Decay 3, how it's going to have dedicated servers, how it's going to have they're adding more to their roster of developers to make the game what they wanted it to be. It's getting they said the checkbook is open, quote unquote, in terms of the budget for that game. That's what I would like to see for Crackdown. I like to see a bigger budget from the start, not a bigger budget after it's already been put into development hell. A bigger budget from the start from one of their studios that has a better pedigree than Sumo Damn Digital. So,
right,
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping for.
All right.
Now, I do hope they go they take another shot at it. I hope Phil takes this feedback and kind of gets a little bit pissed with it. Like, all right, you bitches want Crackdown? I'm about to bring you Crackdown.
Now we talked about if they bring Crackdown back, what we want from it. The question is, should they bring Crackdown back?
I think they should. I think what they really should do is just take different elements from other games. Like when you tell me I'm a super agent, I haven't played it and played this new game, but when you're chasing enemies, do any of them run on walls?
Nope.
No. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, it should be implemented in the game. When I think
parkouring would have been actually a nice addition.
Parkour should be in the game. You know what I mean? You already got the jetpack.
Yep.
I agree. You picking up cars, so you're super strong. Have they added the super high jump? You know what I mean? Is that still in the game?
Yeah, I think as you build up, right?
Yeah, as you build up, you collect more orbs. You can actually jump higher and do
all of that. You should feel like Hancock. You know what I mean? You should be able to do crazy stuff. You know what I mean? You're a super agent. You know what I mean?
They should make Hancock.
Honestly,
they should have the weaponry arsenal of a Ratchet and Clank game. All the weapons should be something crazy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Go super over the top with it. Have super over the top enemies and bosses. You know what I mean?
More
just
customization.
Give the game a little bit more character. And then you can have different agents. You should have specialized agents. You know what I mean? At least for the multiplayer stuff. If you want to get that going.
Yeah, it would be. It's interesting you brought that up because that's something that Xbox said about how there's different agents, and I haven't switched from Terry Crews yet, but I did pick up DNA of dead agents around the city. I haven't actually switched to them or tried them or anything, but as far as I knew, they were just basically just a different skin. They don't have like different abilities, but like that would be great to actually have different agents. Like they even talk about these agents when you find their DNA, and like the dispatcher dude's like, it was like that guy was a great sniper. This one was great at demolitions. I'm like, well, I mean, is that really? I mean, is that more of like backstory, or is that
more
backstory? Yeah, can I apply that to the game? Actually make that apply to the game. You get these agents, and then like you can maybe even have AI agents following you around, and they actually do that kind of stuff. Like that's what I'm talking about, like involving the game, where it's not just like and you're just one person or a co-op or whatever, but make it a little bit more than just it's that one agent that's trying to take back the whole city like that. Make it a little bit more than that now.
Yeah. Real quick, guys, because we're kind of getting to the end of the show here. Anyone else have any comments on Crackdown 3? Because I do want to get to Scalebound, since that's something that
no, I think we've beaten Crackdown into the ground.
We beat the death.
We got to get. I know one day we got to get the commissioner of the trash game movement. We got to get OBJ up in here one day so he can give us his opinion on why games are trash.
Yes, we got to get
my God, man.
We got to get that guy in here.
Man.
That dude did an hour and a half live stream about why games are trash.
Man. It was nice to see him back on the YouTube, man. It's been a minute, so it's nice to see him.
I also had a nice debate with him on Scumcast about why streaming is the future, and he.
Oh my God!
That was a classic. That was a classic discussion on the future of gaming.
Yes.
I'm OBJ. I'm gonna pray for you, man, because you said you would be dead before before streaming takes on, and I'm like, man, I hope you don't have just 5 years left in your life, man.
Hey, OBJ, man, Google having a special event, man, coming up pretty soon. So
GDC.
You might want to pick out that casket, brother.
oh, that's terrible. Yeah,
you know it's all love though.
Yeah,
streaming is dead already.
I think OBJ will refuse to go kicking his grave that streaming is a thing, man. Google come out of GDC and actually show it working. He'll say nope, it's still trash.
It's trash. It's doctored footage.
Yeah, I imagine OBJ drives around with an 8-track in his car, and he's just like, you know what? It still sounds the best this way, and that's the way he is. Like I got no problems with it, man.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. All right, so we crazy enough, this rumor came up this week that Scalebound may be making its way to the Nintendo Switch. My quick take on this, I believe it when I see it. I don't think this is necessarily true. The rumor is, though, that there is a game coming to Switch that was a game that was being worked on that was canceled. Some people speculate this might be Mega Man. I forget which Mega Man this was. Shit, I don't remember.
Mega Man Legends.
Thank you, B. And then the other speculation was that this is Scalebound. Guys, I don't think it's Scalebound. I just don't. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't think it's Scalebound, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a spiritual successor to that game. Because that's the game that Kamiya has always wanted to make. That game was supposed to be made on the Wii, and then it was supposed to be made on Wii U, and then you know what I mean, it was going to be an Xbox One game. So Microsoft did give up the trademark for the game, so they don't own the technical name to it, I guess, anymore. They still own rights to it, though. Yeah, they still own the actual rights to Scalebound, but they could always come out with a spiritual successor to the game. And Kamiya could do that, and Platinum seems to have a pretty good relationship with Nintendo. So if something were to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if we got some game with a different art style. You know what I mean, with that classic Platinum touch.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Microsoft still owns the assets to what Platinum was working on. So they couldn't take what Platinum had already started and build upon that for the Nintendo Switch. One, the Switch couldn't handle it. Let's just be real. That game is not running in that state that we saw it on a Nintendo Switch.
It wasn't even running on the Xbox.
Yeah, it wouldn't even run on the Xbox. It ain't running on a Switch. And then two, if it is a Scalebound, which I'm not 100% believing that's going to be the case. But if it is, it would be like it would look different. It would definitely be a single player game, I think, and it would definitely be a different, completely different look and style of game. They would start from the complete ground up, and the only thing that would remain the same would be the name Scalebound. So yeah, it's kind of like I know there are a lot of people who want to be able to throw this in the Xbox community's face, but if it turns out to be Scalebound and they see it, it's not going to be what you thought it was. It's not going to be what people claimed they were excited about, I think. So yeah.
All right, and so your word, Slow-Mo, it's going to be dumpster juice.
Oh,
I don't think I ever called that. Have I ever called Scalebound dumpster juice? I didn't
No, we never really talked about Scalebound on the show. Like with you guys,
but I've talked about it. Like last Scumcast, I was like trying to tell people that I thought a lot of the outrage, the people claiming they were going to buy an Xbox for, their people were full of shit. Like they weren't.
Oh, there are people saying they were going to buy Xboxes to play Crackdown 3.
Yeah, all day. What's up, man? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. People have been saying that for a long time, and it's easy to say that because the game's canceled, and there's no way that you would ever have to fulfill that by actually buying an Xbox for something that's never going to come out. So it's an easy comment to make, but it's just basically just trolling. And I don't really think the game was as going to be one. I don't think it would have reviewed well. I don't think it would have made the kind of impact people claim it would have made if it came out. I didn't hear a single good thing about the game until it was canceled. So I mean, that's me personally. I didn't hear anyone like, "Oh, can't wait for this game." Every time they showed it at a conference, it was just like that didn't show well. That was disappointing. So yeah.
I guess I'll add, because it seems like everybody's heading in the same direction. I guess I will play a little devil's advocate on this one when it comes to what I think, not what I think is going to happen, but the what if scenario. We all know Microsoft has been really buddy with Nintendo over the last calendar year. I mean, for God's sake, we have Hellblade releasing on the Switch. Even though, and I think that might be a backdoor deal that was probably made between the company before they were bought by Microsoft. We never know, but they are bringing their games over there. This wouldn't be the first. It probably won't be the last one. Microsoft probably has, like they said, they let this trademark lapse with knowing that somebody probably was going to pick it up. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did let Nintendo I probably won't say use the assets that they have, because I don't think the Switch can handle it either. But I do think it has come out that Microsoft was pushing for a multiplayer game. If you remember the first time we saw that trailer, it was all single player. Not until we got to E3, that's when they added at the very end of the trailer, they added the co-op aspect where they knew that it was going to be a co-op game. He always came out and said that he wanted to make a linear single player game, and that fits the story that Nintendo wants to tell. They're not a really big multiplayer games company when it comes to their stuff. They just got online this generation, for God's sakes, on a meaningful level. I just think if Microsoft does do this, they need to tread lightly, because a lot of people will give them crap if Nintendo comes out with this game and this game is anywhere near serviceable, no matter what type of game it is. Because just the fact that the game has the name Scalebound on it, people are always going to go back to, well, Microsoft couldn't do anything with the IP, so they gave it to somebody else that did better than they could have did with it. Yeah. But overall, I mean, it's business. Microsoft is all about, business now. They're all about the service area now. They want to put their games as many places as possible. And if they don't have anything to do with the IP and they feel like the IP is pretty much dead to them, this gives them an opportunity to give Nintendo a boost, because Nintendo doesn't have a game like this. I mean, they have Monster Hunter and they have Game Mod Hunter stuff, but they don't have this. And Platinum, they have a really good relationship with Platinum because Platinum makes a lot of games for them. Wonderful 101, the Bayonetta games. So they have a working relationship that they know they can count on when it comes to Platinum, where Microsoft doesn't have that same relationship, even though, and I find it funny that Microsoft, they really don't fight about it. Some people think that they have issues with each other, which it really doesn't seem like they do. But I wouldn't be surprised if this does happen. And I would love to see the day that this does come to fruition, just to see the war that happens between both.
That's what I said. My petty side wants to see it.
Because that's all. At this point, that's all I want to see. For Microsoft's sake, if they do this, they made their own bed, so they'll take the criticism that they take from it. But I, as a gamer and as a person that loves just the inner workings of how stuff like this can work, I would really enjoy to hear it.
Yeah, you mentioned, like, we already mentioned that Microsoft owns the assets to the actual development of the game that Platinum made, but like it's more than just say the code and the engine and that the Switch couldn't handle that, but like the character models, like the stories, the whatever that they were whatever the narrative team was developing, for that game. The characters, like Microsoft owns that too. Like, so that Devil May Cry wanna be clone dude that they showed,
a different person.
They had to be.
I would doubt that that's even the idea of the character that they wanted to have for that game. It just it doesn't seem like that's what a typical character that Kamaya would have for his game.
So you think it was something like Microsoft came to them and was like, make this?
Make a dragon.
I think they had at that point they had a lot of influence on that game, and that's kind of like where they, because if you look at like with the Phantom Dust remake thing, like that kind of like went a certain way too, like when they tried to add the multiplayer stuff, and after that, like that game kind of vanished in the thin air. I think like at that point they still had some of that old Microsoft stink on them, where they were really trying to influence like some of the games that they were being worked on. And when stuff came out and developers probably were trying to implement stuff that they really haven't worked on, because like when you look at Platinum, what multiplayer game have they ever worked on?
That's what I said. The minute they talked about Scalebound and they showed some of the single player, but then they did the Microsoft thing where we got to focus all in on multiplayer.
Didn't that
I was like, when has Platinum ever shown you that they can handle multiplayer, much less 4 dragons on screen with 4 players?
Did you guys think that presentation seemed awkward though at E3 when they showed the multiplayer?
It was and then they showed it for the second time, and I'm like, they're not showing anything like that different. Like there's something wrong with this game.
Yeah, something was up. Yeah, that's when I knew. Like that's when Kamiya when he got up on stage, I think with Phil, and then was playing the multiplayer demo. I was like, something's not right here. It just doesn't make sense.
And I'm fine with that. I would much rather Platinum be able to create the Scalebound game that they had originally envisioned it to be, and not whatever bastardized version that Microsoft tried to get out of them. And if that means no Devil May Cry clone, good, because I thought that dude was very generic looking
and obnoxious.
Yeah, right. So, and another thing I will say, I'm glad Microsoft seems to have learned their lesson in regards to, micromanaging and kind of really, being over the shoulder of these developers that make exclusive games for them, because we've seen from all of their new studios, they're all consistently saying we have full creative control over whatever we make. And so if they're not going to make a multiplayer game, guess what?
Yeah,
it's not going to be a multiplayer game, and that's good for Microsoft, because they're going to get a better quality product out of these developers who are going to do what they do best, and that's a good dub. That's a big W for everybody involved, including us, the gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, real quick, guys. Mario Sand in the live chat says Platinum did 2 multiplayer games, one brawler for the Wii U that featured the Mad World character in some cyborg game that failed on the 360 and PS3, not Vanquish. Interesting. All right.
That's what I feel say. When has anybody known them to really do multiplayer?
Yeah.
Like do it well. On that level, Well. I'm not saying that they never dabbled in it or tried it, but that's just not their strength. So to try to get them to do this 4 players with each with a dragon on screen and this and that. I'm like, and I felt like at that time, I was like, they're so focused on this. When they showed that campaign, I'm like, that campaign looked, that frame rate was like busted. I said, the environment looks bland. It's just the dragon running around with the dude. And yeah, I was like, this isn't looking right.
I think the problem that we had all this generation is with the move over from one regime to the other. Microsoft just didn't know what they wanted to do when it came to their games. Their games were kind of stuck in limbo. We had no funding for games. We had games that were on the back burner that still needed to be released, and they wanted to change the identity of those games. And it really hurt, especially 2017. It really, really hurt what Microsoft was doing going forward. But I definitely believe we've seen the last of the bad games for Microsoft, and it's up to them to prove that to us. Honestly, you don't take our word for it. Take your own word for it. Play the games when they release, and see if those games are going to be worth it for you, because that's all that matters in the end.
I think so too, Forte. And I think one thing, if you kind of look at what they're doing, they're kind of getting out of this thing where it's like we're dependent upon, it's like second and third party to bring us like an IP that people will like. It's like they're trying to definitely shore up that portfolio for themselves through the first party. Yeah. Because that was kind of like the DNA of a lot of things that they were built on. Outside of like Halo, whatever, but I remember like until they purchased like the Gears, franchise or whatever, that was like a partnership. So I think they're trying to definitely shore up and say, this is what we were built on. But hopefully Crackdown 3 is the last time so far. I mean,
and next up for them is Ori 2, which I think we'll definitely review well. Ori 2, and then
Gears 5.
Gears 5. Gears 5.
Again, Slow-mo, Ori, another game that reviewed well, but nobody talks about that. They only talk about when the review gets bad.
Well, Microsoft is in that same situation where we used to say Sony people were. They don't support the games when they come out. That's pretty much what happened during the PlayStation 3 era, where games like Gears of War would outsell every first party game that Sony put out.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to see that with Microsoft games, and all I hear is tweets like people saying, well, game's not for me, or they say they're going to play the game but they never get around to playing it. It's I really don't understand half of the people in this community that say they want to talk about games for a living, but then they don't play the games that are released on the platform they love.
Ori is always forgotten. It's always forgotten as a new IP that came out on Microsoft platforms that did well. It's always forgotten for that. And then the sequel coming out this year is always forgotten. When people say, hey, what's the next one coming up for Microsoft after Crackdown? And they always say Gears. So Ori's supposed to come out.
What people always say is Microsoft didn't make that IP. They bought that. They bought that IP. They have that IT because somebody else made it. And to an extent, they're probably right. Microsoft has acquired a bunch of new IPs and not have created their own yet. I think when it comes to the initiative, that will be the first game that Microsoft truly just creates on their own, and then we'll see how the community reacts to that when it comes to their pedigree around games.
Yeah, but I don't even like that kind of criticism about them. Well, they didn't create that. Well, they didn't create Gears. Gears, and they didn't create Halo. When Halo 1 came out.
Well, that's why some people don't give them credit for those, because they feel like Bungie created Halo. They just happened to buy Bungie and say,
well, they bought Bungie,
they bought Bungie, and then they created the studio and bought the Gears license. This is. Yeah, I mean, so like, but if you're gonna say, well, they got Halo, they got Gears, I guess they did create Forza because they
did create Forza. That was
cool. So but Forza is the only pseudo IP they actually quote unquote created. Like, I really like that distinction that people try to make. Well, it's not really their game because they didn't create it.
Well, most of the games they created are still back in the regular Xbox days that they just didn't bring forward.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but you remember, like last generation, it's like. They had like Sony and everyone chasing them, trying to figure out a Gears killer or a Halo killer, or
they were creating everything.
Yeah, and it's like, and people are like, that ain't it, Chief. Killzone's supposed to be that. Nope, that ain't it, Chief. And now it's like that
Killzone was not a Halo killer.
No,
right.
Sorry.
And that table has turned. And that's why, I know Enrique is always telling people, you guys forgotten how it was like last generation. You're sitting there saying there's all this bias and this and that.
Oh, it's PlayStation fans saying media bias last gen.
Specifically, remember like the IGNs playing everything on 360.
Yep.
And talking about how bad, games were, on a PS3 because of the development, how hard it was to develop for.
Yeah, and it was
true.
People
had
it was
a PS3
true.
didn't like the PS3. Like people didn't like it for real. Like, you know how annoying it was to put in a game, to install it, and then have to wait there until you got to update.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you leave your PS3 on for 3 days and it still ain't updated. It's like, come on, man, I just want to play the game.
Right.
I remember.
People forgetting that. People forgetting too that was called out a lot.
Yeah, it was called out a lot. They got called out for a lot of stuff, man. Last console gen. So
yeah.
I put a game in my system and it worked.
But y'all will never forget installing Metal Gear Solid 4 and
all.
This game ain't gonna never.
Look at him smoke that.
Come back, eat dinner. Go eat a snack. Come back,
buddy. Gentlemen, I do need to wrap up the show though because we're at 11:20 right now.
All right,
and I got to get to bed. So, hey, great conversations this evening. Great show. I want to thank everyone in the live chat for stopping by, hanging out with us this evening. Definitely appreciate it. And big shout out to the panel here. B Money, man. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Just follow me on Twitter. Same name, B Money 101. Or you can find me on Tick Podcast every Saturday night at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. Eric Jackson.
Yo. Yep, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. And when I'm out here on Wednesday night, you can find me on Saturday on the Gaming Perspective at 8:00 with the crew over there.
Awesome, my man. Awesome. And Forte.
Yo, everywhere, Gaming Forte, Twitter, YouTube. Great show as usual. You can also catch me on the Scumcast whenever there's good news around looter shooters on there, which we'll probably be having a couple of those over the next couple of weeks. So definitely check out that show. As always, great chat, great show, and really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And last but not least, Slow-Mo.
Hey, yeah, guys. Excellent conversation. Great topics today, and then great chat. Shout out to the chat. Chat had a lot of good thoughts. A lot of good thoughts tonight, and a lot of good feedback. You can catch me on Twitter, same name, on at Scumcast at 3:30 Central Time. If Luca gets done with her hair appointment on time, and then also you will catch me on Boom's special edition. Boom presents. He's going to do a Crackdown roundtable with some people from the community, and I will be there as well on 1 p.m. Eastern this Saturday. So come check it out. It's going to be, I think it will be a pretty lively debate. I think there'll be a lot of people with a lot of different opinions there about the game. So,
all right,
be good to check out.
All right, awesome. OBJ the Don says the Anthem patch notes look like the Bible.
I stopped reading them. I was like reading through them, and I was like, "Nah, bro, not right now."
Yeah, that's wild. All right, everyone. If you're interested, we do have the review up for Crackdown 3. That's up on the Basement Radio Arcade YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. And other than that, hey, everyone, enjoy the rest of the week. We'll be back next weekend at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll see you then. Peace.
Later.
Later.